Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to swim through the data and pull out those really important insights and maybe a few surprises.
That's the plan.
And today, we're diving into something, well, pretty familiar, probably in your fridge right now, but it's a massive global business. Cheese. We've got this detailed global market forecast looking ahead, over the next decade or so.
Right, quite comprehensive.
So our mission today, let's uncover the biggest trends, maybe some unexpected shifts, and what this all tells us about, well, the world's growing love for cheese. Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here, I think, is not just how big the market is already, but how pervasive it is, how consistently valuable it seems to be becoming everywhere.
Right.
This forecast, it doesn't just show steady demand. We're talking significant expansion. It really pinpoints where cheese isn't just holding its own, but actually booming.
And booming is the right word. I mean, look at these numbers. Back in 2021, the global market, already about $195 billion.
Huge number.
Then jump just to 2025. That's next year, it's expected to clear $250 billion.
Wow.
But okay, here's where it gets really interesting. By 2033, the projection is almost $420 billion.
Nearly double again.
Exactly. That's a global compound annual growth rate,
Yeah.
the CAGR, of about 6.6%.
Yeah, 6.592% to be precise. And that CAGR, it really paints a clear picture, doesn't it? Steady, solid growth year after year.
Absolutely.
And if you connect that to the, the bigger picture, it's obvious this isn't some niche food. It's a rapidly expanding global thing.
Right.
Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? What's driving this huge universal appetite for cheese on such a massive scale across so many different cultures, too?
That really is the key question. And maybe looking at where the growth is happening gives us some clues.
Could be it.
Because, the whole world seems to want more cheese, but the growth rates, the market sizes, they do vary quite a bit depending on where you look.
Exactly. Every region's growing, no doubt, but some are just, accelerating much faster. And that hints at some really interesting shifts in global eating habits, maybe broader food trends.
Okay, so let's start with Europe, the traditional heartland, you could say, the current giant.
Definitely the giant. In 2021, Europe's market was already over $67 billion.
Still the largest chunk.
And it's projected to grow to almost $86 billion by 2025, and then keep going to nearly $140 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of just over 6.3%. Solid growth.
Very solid. And within Europe, Germany really pops out. It's got the highest CAGR in the region, over 7%.
Over 7%. Wow.
Yeah. Its market is set to go from around $12.5 billion back in 2021 to almost $28 billion by 2033. That's a huge jump. It suggests more than just traditional eating, maybe new products, maybe convenience playing a bigger role.
Interesting.
And the UK is strong, too, growing at over 6.6%. Set to more than double its market.
Okay.
Even places like France and Italy, with these incredibly deep cheese traditions.
Right. You'd think they were saturated. You might, but they're still expanding significantly, which I think speaks to maybe premium products, more snacking, ongoing innovation, even in mature markets. Spain, Sweden, Denmark, Switzerland, all showing really healthy growth rates, mostly in that 5 to 6.5% CAGR range.
So Europe's big and still growing steadily. What about across the pond? North America.
Okay, North America. Also, very solid, steady growth. The market there was about $55 billion in 2021.
Right.
Set to hit nearly $70 billion by 2025, and the forecast puts it over $110 billion by 2033. That's a regional CAGR of almost 6%.
So a bit slower than Europe overall, but still very significant.
Exactly. And here, no surprise, the U.S. dominates in terms of value. Its market alone is projected to almost double, hitting over $88 billion by 2033.
$88 billion just in the U.S.
Just the U.S. But what's interesting is Canada, right? Smaller market, obviously, but its CAGR is actually a bit higher than the U.S.
Oh.
Yeah, over 6.6%. Could suggest maybe a market that's developing faster, changing diets, more interest in different cuisines, perhaps.
Could be. And Mexico.
Mexico is also growing well, over 6% AAGR, looking to more than double its market size, too. So strong growth across North America.
Okay, but if we're talking about acceleration.
Then you have to look at Asia Pacific.
That's what the numbers scream, right? Highest overall CAGR in the whole report. Rapid, almost explosive growth.
Definitely the fastest growing engine. It started around $45 billion in 2021, jumps to over $60 billion by 2025.
And the 2033 projection?
Over $108 billion. More than doubling again from 2021. The CAGR there is nearly 7.6%.
Almost 7.6%. That's huge on a global scale.
It really is. And the standout story within APAC? It has to be India.
I saw that number. It's incredible.
Isn't it? Over 8.6% CAGR. That's the highest single country growth rate in the entire forecast.
Wow. From what, about $5 billion?
Around $5 billion in 2021, projected to hit almost $14 billion by 2033, nearly tripling.
What's driving that, do you think?
Well, likely a mix of things. Rising incomes, definitely. Globalization of food trends, more Western influence, maybe. And just a growing acceptance of dairy beyond, traditional yogurt or paneer.
Makes sense. And China?
China's huge, too. It's already the biggest market in APAC, and it's growing at nearly 7.8% CAGR, on track to more than double its value, heading towards $32 billion.
So China and India are the powerhouses there.
They are, but you also see really strong growth across the board. Southeast Asia as a bloc, Singapore, Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, all growing between roughly 7 and 8% CAGR.
Even Japan?
Even Japan at almost 6.9%, and Australia at over 6.3%. It really points to a major shift in eating habits across the entire continent.
Fascinating. Okay, let's pivot. South America.
South America also showing strong momentum. About $12 billion in revenue back in 2021.
Right.
That's projected to rise to nearly $16 billion by 2025 and then hit almost $27 billion by 2033. So the regional CGR there is close to 6.9%.
Pretty robust growth, too, then. Any standouts?
Yeah, Argentina actually has the highest CGR in the region, over 7.3%, looking to more than double its market size. Chile is also very strong, over 7.1%. Brazil, which is the largest market there, is growing steadily at about 6.75%, also set to more than double. Peru, Colombia, they're all showing solid growth in the 6-point-something% range.
So it seems like a widespread embrace of cheese there, too.
It does, maybe linked to urbanization, more access to different kinds of foods.
What about the Middle East? I remember seeing that as another notable region.
Definitely. A significant emerging market for cheese. It was almost $9 billion back in 2021.
Right.
Expected to reach nearly $12 billion by 2025, and the projection for 2033 is almost $20 billion. The CGR is nearly 6.8%.
Very close to South America's growth rate, then.
Very close. And leading the growth charge there is the UAE, with a TGR over 7.4%.
Okay.
Turkey's not far behind, over 7.1%. Both are set to more than double their market value. Saudi Arabia, the biggest market in the region, is growing at almost 6.9%, also projected to double.
So strong growth across the Gulf and Turkey.
Yeah, and you see solid growth in Qatar and Egypt, too. It suggests, again, maybe rising incomes, diverse populations, changing food habits.
Okay, one region left. Africa.
Right, Africa. Also seeing opportunities expanding. The market was about $6.6 billion in 2021.
Smaller base, obviously.
Smaller base, yes. Growing to over $9 billion by 2025 and projected to reach nearly $14.5 billion by 2033. The CAGR there is just over 6.1%.
Still respectable growth.
Absolutely. And within Africa, South Africa leads the way in growth rate, over 6.8% CAGR. Its market value is expected to more than double.
Okay.
Nigeria also shows strong growth, around 6.4% CAGR, also set to more than double its market size. The rest of Africa is growing a bit slower, but still expanding.
So growth across the continent, suggesting maybe more formal food markets, urbanization.
And maybe cheese finding its way into new dishes, new contexts. Yeah.
Okay. We've covered the globe. We've seen the numbers, the growth rates. So when you pull it all together, what does this all mean? What's the big picture takeaway?
Well, I think what's really striking is just the sheer consistency of the growth. Across incredibly different regions, cultures, economic levels, cheese consumption is growing pretty much everywhere.
It really is universal.
It seems to be becoming that way. It really highlights this massive ongoing opportunity in the global cheese market. And yes, Europe is still the biggest market today in terms of value.
By a fair margin.
By a fair margin. But the engine of future growth, that's clearly Asia-Pacific. The acceleration we're seeing, especially in India and China, is just phenomenal.
It shifts the center of gravity, doesn't it?
It really does, looking forward. And this whole trend, this global embrace, it raises a fascinating question about food trends generally, right?
Yeah.
How is cheese, which has such specific cultural roots in, mostly Europe, how is it managing to cross all these traditional dietary lines to become so popular, so widely adopted?
It's more than just people having more money to spend, you're saying?
Yeah. I think it has to be. It suggests deeper shifts. Maybe convenience is a huge factor. Maybe it's the globalization of cuisine, pizza, burgers, pasta are everywhere now. Or maybe even changing ideas about nutrition. It's complex.
Well, this deep dive has definitely painted a much clearer picture. It's kind of staggering to see the scale and just how consistent that growth trajectory looks for cheese globally. It's not just a staple anymore. It feels like it's becoming a truly universal food.
It really does seem that way. So it makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What stands out to you about how this market is evolving? What do you think is really driving this, well, this seemingly universal appetite for cheese, everywhere from Germany to India to Brazil? Is it just the ultimate comfort food gone global,
Yeah.
or something else entirely? Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something super familiar, but maybe surprisingly intricate. We're talking about the global cheese market.
That's right.
We've looked at a bunch of sources, particularly some great stuff from cognitive market research. Our goal, to pull out the really key insights for you. Think of it as your shortcut to understanding this, everyday food staple. We'll unpack the forces shaping how cheese gets to your plate.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how something so simple, seemingly, has these huge global ripples, but basically synthesize why it's still so central, what's driving the growth, what challenges it's up against, and where things seem to be headed.
Okay, so let's start there. Why is cheese so, well, universally loved? Have you ever really thought about that? It's more than just taste, surely.
Oh, absolutely. And the research really backs this up. Its appeal goes way beyond flavor. Fundamentally, it's a nutritional powerhouse. I mean, it's loaded with protein, calcium, zinc, phosphorus, vitamins A, B12. The list goes on. And what's interesting is how it's being sort of repositioned, moving from maybe a guilty pleasure to a real protein source for health-aware folks.
Protein source, yeah. How much are we talking?
Well, depending on the type, you could be looking at anywhere from 15 to even 45 grams of protein per 100 grams. That's pretty substantial.
Wow, okay.
So that makes it super attractive to people wanting nutrient-dense foods, stuff that's versatile for meals or just snacks.
That's a really interesting angle to perception shift. So with that strong base appeal, what's actually pushing its growth worldwide? How is this market, expanding so much?
Well, the sources point to a few key drivers. On one side, you've got this growing demand for convenient and nutrient-dense foods. Cheese just ticks those boxes.
Easy and good for you, relatively speaking.
Exactly. But then there's this other, maybe less obvious factor, the spread of Western-style cuisine. As those eating habits move globally, especially in places urbanizing quickly, demand for cheese has just surged as part of adopting like a global food culture.
That makes total sense. And what about, say, media and marketing? Are they playing a big role? And are specific types of cheese getting more popular? Like, are tastes changing?
Yeah, that's a really good point. The research highlights flavored cheeses becoming much more popular.
Flavored? Like what?
Think cheese infused with oregano, garlic, pepper, chili flakes, that kind of thing. And these aren't just niche anymore. They're getting real traction both in established markets and, importantly, in emerging economies.
Interesting.
It sort of shows how places with a growing middle class are adopting these global food trends, seeing cheese as part of a modern lifestyle. It suggests there's still a lot of growth potential there as people seek new but still familiar tastes.
Okay, so lots of growth, evolving tastes. But it can't all be smooth sailing. There must be challenges, right? What's holding the market back or at least slowing it down?
You're absolutely right to ask that. And yes, there are definitely headwinds. A primary one, according to the research, is rising health concerns. People are just becoming more aware, more cautious about things like saturated fats and sodium in some cheeses.
Right, the health angle.
Yeah. And that awareness, well, it could definitely put a damper on growth, especially among those really health-focused consumers who read every label.
So that's the consumer side. What about external pressures? Regulations, labeling, that sort of thing. I imagine that's getting stricter.
Precisely. The industry is under much more scrutiny from regulatory bodies globally. You've got tougher rules on food labeling, nutritional information, and that directly affects how products are made and marketed.
So it makes innovation harder.
It definitely adds complexity. It's a real challenge for manufacturers trying to innovate, trying to meet what consumers want, but also staying fully compliant with all these, evolving health guidelines. It's a tricky balancing act.
Yeah, I can imagine. So connecting all this, how is the industry actually responding to the health concerns, the regulations, the changing tastes we talked about?
Well, it's forcing a pretty significant shift. The sources show a clear move towards cleaner labels and healthier alternatives.
Cleaner labels, meaning?
Fewer artificial ingredients, more transparency. And brands are actively bringing out low-fat options, reduced sodium cheeses, and increasingly plant-based cheese alternatives.
Ah, the plant-based wave.
Exactly. It's all about aligning with these bigger global health and wellness trends. It's less about fighting it and more about adapting proactively.
That makes sense. It's a smart pivot. And thinking bigger picture, it's not just about what's inside the cheese anymore, is it? People care about how it's made, the packaging, the whole environmental side.
You absolutely nailed it. Sustainability is becoming huge, both production and packaging. Consumers and regulators, too, are demanding more eco-friendly practices right through the supply chain.
So from the farm to the fridge, basically.
Pretty much. Responsible sourcing, biodegradable packaging, it all part of the conversation now. So at the end of the day, innovation and adaptability, whether that's new, healthier products or greener processes, that's going to be absolutely critical for companies wanting to stay competitive in this really dynamic market.
So there you have it, your shortcut to understanding the surprisingly complex world of cheese. We've gone from its roots as a nutritional staple right through to how it's adapting for modern health and environmental concerns. It's definitely more intricate than you might think.
Yeah, so next time you grab some cheese, maybe just pause and think about that whole web, global trends, consumer tastes, industry innovation, everything that brought that specific piece to your table. Does knowing all this maybe change how you look at other everyday foods too?
And here's something to chew on. With the rise of plant-based options and all these health regulations getting tighter, will traditional cheese just keep evolving? Or are we going to see the actual definition of cheese expand way beyond dairy in the next few decades?